This stuff is so important, not just because it's happening, but because people see it's happening and are spreading the word, are making sure we're here and we're learning from each other and we're connecting. And I can't think of a person who would speak to that better than Brian Donahue of Not Just Us.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy. Not Just Us. Let me first tell you what it's about and then tell you how I got involved in it. It's bringing communities all across the state together. Right now, we have, I believe, the upcoming rallies, or we last week decided they're not rallies. They're called community gatherings. And I know one of my partners in this project of mine is Wayne Winston. And another one, very powerful speaker, just spoke, is Laura Timmons. And the person who does everything for us is Jeremy over there. Jeremy came on, and so what I do is after these rallies, I'll go in around 4 o'clock, and I'll post these into Not Just Us. Not Just Us brings us together, and it brings people of color. It brings LGBTQIA, foster and adoptive. It brings lower income, diverse faith, disabilities. We all come together and we bring the community together. We work with the locals. We want to know what's the issues. Well, how can we help? Then we go into, in the fall, the legislative virtual calls. We bring we do priorities that have been identified throughout the state. Then what we do is we bring legislators on and ask them to please join us in getting their things across. But how I came to Not Just Us, how I formed this organization, which has over 675 members throughout the state, from Enfield to New Haven, from Danbury to Rhode Island. And one of the things that really struck me was after the George Floyd murder, not death, because death is respect. He was murdered outright. So what happened was that everybody came out, all the communities came out and cheered. And they said, then they said, yeah, we're all together. But then, they all went home. And they didn't do anything. I live in Rocky Hill. I am an adoptive parent. I'm also a biological parent. My biological child's almost 18. She and I attended a conference. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Greater Hartford Interfaith Action Alliance, but I'm a member of them. And they had a meeting. And there was a gentleman who got up who spoke about living in Rocky Hill. He was a pastor now of a church in Hartford. And he talked about his experience in Hartford. So after we got out of the conference, my daughter and I got into the car, and she was quiet. If you know anything about teenagers, when they're quiet, they're thinking something. So I said, "What's wrong, hon?" She said, "Dad, you know what? My two sisters, who are both adopted, they're true sisters, mother and father are the same. They would be considered black in this society because one is, they're both biracial, mother's white, father's black." So she said, "Dad, I've had teachers who look like me. I've had books in the classroom who look like me." I said, "Okay." I've been working with legislative matters for adoptee rights, for foster, other things that came out with adoption related. And so I asked to meet with the superintendent of the schools. And he said, "No, you can't." He said, "You can meet with me anytime. You can come in." I said, "Good, I'm going to bring my pastor with me." He said, "No." He said, "You can't." So I said, "Okay, I can't bring my own pastor?" She's like, "No." He said, "No, because she doesn't live in Rocky Hill." I said, "It's my pastor where I go to church. It's a support to me." And my pastor and I spoke. My pastor said, "Brian, go ahead without the meeting. You and I will, get together after the meeting and we will do it." So I assumed it was a one-on-one meeting. I get in there, and there's he and another person, the superintendent of curriculum were there, I think. There was a table, and there were things such as black people, Asian, LGBTQIA, all the diverse. And I said, "Oh, great." So my children, who at that time were 6 and 7 years old, he said, "Oh, yeah, these books are available. Your children will need to come to the library and ask for them." My children at 6 and 7-year-old are not going to be asking for books. Anything that they know about child development, they should know about child development. It's in their educational curriculum before they become teacher and then a principal. My kids are not going to look like that. So then I said, you know what? The heck with this. I got to speak up. I have to do it, because if not me, who? And that was when I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm starting this group. And this group is not just about me. It's not just us. It's everybody working together. And that was the reason why I came up with not just us. A friend of mine, and that's where we started last year. We have been in Hartford, where we've had death threats against us. We've had Tolland, Ellington, New Haven, Bridgeport. Last week we were in New Haven. Then last week we were in Norwalk. Jeremy's working on events for us coming up in New Milford and Brookfield, and then the next one we're doing is in Danbury. We want to bring everybody in together because we need to hear everybody's voices, and we need to know that we're not just this group, not just this group. That's why I wanted my group to be about everybody, because book banning, that is a form of book banning if you're hiding your books on your students. And my oldest one is getting the white books and all that other stuff in her classroom, talking about it. I didn't even know until 2 weeks ago when I was talking to my co-man at Wayne that Paul Revere was not the person who came and stated the English are coming. He never even showed up in Massachusetts. So there's a book that says, that I usually show, I don't think I have it today, but it shows everything that your teacher didn't tell you, and it's everything that we need to know. One thing that I brought today was this was a book banned in 1975 to 1977. This book, Black Boy, was banned. I picked it up because I want my kids to know about both cultures. They need to know they're not just white, but they're black. I mean, yes, their skin will tell them that, but they have to know black and gay and anything like that is not something to be ashamed of, and that we need to work together. And politicians work for us. We have to remember that. And we need to tell them either they're going to be with us or against us. And if they're against us, we're going to vote you out, and we're going to be re-electing people who stand for us. Thank you.